So I've just been sprucing up about once a fortnight the aquarium, and I just thought do a little video to make people or let you understand that you don't have to be complex when you're keeping fish. Certainly if you want an aquarium for an ornament and to study the fish, but you're not hell-bent on certain specific species and things like that. So you do not need heating in your house if it's reasonable temperature. There are fish that will survive in less than tropical conditions. So in here we've got endless fish or endless guppies, and we've got white cloud mountain minnows. None of those require any more than house temperature. We've also got loads of sapphire shrimps that breed away, again at house temperature. There's no filter, there's no heating. All we've got is lighting. That means the plants grow, and that means we can have a little mini ecosystem all going on. Do you need to do maintenance? Of course you do. It's still an aquarium, you still need to maintain it. So here, it's almost a paludarium. We've got 4 inches at the top layer without water, and we've got plants growing up and out. No lid. If you have a cooler house, or let's say your house is house temperature and your aquarium is heated tropical temperatures more than your house, you will get excessive evaporation. You will lose a lot of water, and if it was a larger aquarium, you'd end up with even water running down your windows. But if the aquarium is the same temperature as your house, even without a lid on, this style, like a paludarium, you lose hardly any excessive evaporation at all. There is no filter. Slight haze in the water. That's just because yesterday evening we were in here rooting around. So this is how I keep them. I clean any algae off the glass, front glass. I usually run a gravel cleaner every 2 to 3 weeks, and I'll change about 10 to 20% of the water. I'll fill it up a bucket of water at about the same temperature, check with my fingers, and I use no water conditioner whatsoever when I'm changing 10, 15, 20% of the water. All the animals thrive and survive. We can get incredibly technical keeping fish, or we can keep them in a much more natural, simple way. We've got one of these rabbit type snails, as well as a couple of nearite snails. The nearites are mega algae eaters, and those snails are nearly 3 years old, and they've done a great job. And these rabbit snails, they'll work through the substrate and disturb it. The prawns will eat algae and detritus. Come on, prawn, where are you? Look at that. Feeding away, all working together. None of these fish grow much bigger than what they are. So think about what you keep in there. But a beautiful aquarium. We've just put a recently fresh plants, this clump in, just to see if they'll spread out. But I've cut back these plants no end. They'd really filled up. And you're just doing that maintenance. Any algae, if it's excessive green algae, maybe you need more plants, a little bit less light. You're just working out that balance. The key thing is, don't plant your new aquarium and fill it with fish. Put a few fish in there, and as the natural bacteria in the aquarium establishes, gradually let your fish breed or add more different fish. No filters, no aeration, no heating, just being powered by the lights, the plants, and that bacteria cycle of converting ammonia to nitrite to nitrate, and which is then plant food. Absolutely thriving. And I'll tell you, the biggest key thing is a well-balanced aquarium. I feed these fish twice a week. Twice a week. Some people are feeding their fish twice a day. Every bit of food you put in, think of it as coming out the other end as poo. You can run the risk of absolutely polluting the aquarium. It's the balance. The plants are feeding, the prawns or the shrimps are taking away detritus. Once it's established with algae, biofilm, fish like these guppies, those prawns, those shrimps, they're grazing all the day long. They don't need gobfuls of food shoveling in there once or twice a day. Thriving community. Sapphire shrimps breed. I have to give away the endless fish because they breed excessively, or they breed well. And the white clouds all looking happy. Give it a try. Look at the size of this. Doesn't have to be large, and yet it lights up a dark corner of a room beautifully. Living lighting, living interest. Not expensive, low maintenance, low cost. A few LED lights up there powering those plants. Very attractive, living artwork to brighten up a dark room corner. You really can keep fish very simply and really enjoy them. And this does work on larger aquariums and larger fish. Don't overcrowd it. Think of it as a more natural, sort of self-contained ecosystem that you don't have to run aeration or filtration to preserve life because it isn't big enough to do that on its own. You know, it doesn't need to have 400 fish in there. This is a constantly moving interest. I think you'll agree. There's plenty of fish in there. Things like those nearite snails and even the sapphire shrimps working in there to make it work as a whole. Beautiful. How do you know what plants to put in these aquariums? Trial and error. Do a bit of research if you like. Some plants like this Anubias thrive in really dark corners and tolerate really low light levels. Some plants like this, which would have been called in my day Lodia, I'm sure it's not called that anymore, thrives in bright light and tends to bolt and run rampantly through. Nothing's a weed, just remove excess. The more the plants are growing, the less algae you'll get and the healthier the aquarium. Just remove them, as there's too many plants. You can even do that if your fish breed excessively. Still managing it like a garden, and yet such low tech. Just try, enjoy the trial and error of what does well and what doesn't do well. These are planted in nothing. These are planted in nothing. There's just some rocks in the corner and their roots are just wedged in, so they're a couple of inches under the water, and out they're growing, rooting down in amongst the rocks. And if you do want different species that do require those more tropical temperatures, simple. Add a heater. You still can keep it perfectly natural, just like this, or in that low-tech way. But if you need more temperature, add a heater. The convection currents will swirl around gently and it'll work just fine without any water movement from aeration to stir it up. But if you add a heater and you're somewhere like the UK where the air temperature in your house is lower than the aquarium, which significantly, let's say, put a glass screen on there, put a drip tray, because you will be shocked at how much evaporation you'll lose. And I say, a large aquarium can actually cause you quite a lot of damp problems in your house if you've got an uncovered tropical aquarium in a cooler house. I've even seen people's plasterboard roofs fall in from their ceiling, rather, not the roofs. The ceilings of their rooms fall in because the rooms are dripping in condensation from large sort of 6x2x2 aquaria that they thought would be really nice having uncovered plants growing out the top. Doesn't work in a cooler house. Shocking evaporation. Just put a cover on there and that condensation will just run back in. Now some people will advocate a soil-based layer, maybe a couple of inches deep, and then a good topping of sand or fine gravel on top to hold that soil down. to provide a really good substrate for your plants. Keep things simple. You're not trying to grow super weird plants or anything difficult. Once this settles and balances, the gravel will hold enough substrate and those plants will thrive on the waste of the fish and the muln that develops. Keep it simple, it'll work great.